everybody. My name is Carolina. I work for Afrika-grupperna, and we are very happy that we have guests here from Western Sahara with us today, and we will have a seminar here with Aidan that will ask the questions, and with Ahmed that will answer the questions. And afterwards, we will also let you, the audience, ask some questions. But I'll just start with a small introduction about Western Sahara and the situation right now. So, Western Sahara has been occupied by its neighbouring country Morocco for 43 years. No country in the world has recognized Morocco's right to the territory. The UN, the International Court of Justice, and the European Court condemned the occupation. In 1991, the United Nations negotiated a ceasefire. In return, the Sahrawis would get a referendum and vote if they wanted to belong to Morocco or not. Today, 27 years later, the referendum has still not taken place. It has constantly been obstructed by Morocco. During the war, before 1991, half the Sahrawi population fled the desert to the deserts in Algeria. Over 170,000 Sahrawis are still living there in refugee camps depending on humanitarian aid. The rest of the Sahrawis stayed in the occupied territory and are now living under the oppression of the Moroccan regime. Before we start this seminar, we will have a small quiz here just to see how much you know about the question. So please all take up your smartphones and go into www.menti.com and use the code 719008. Good. I can see that some have found their way in. Some hearts there. Okay, everybody ready? Good. Let's start then. Question 1. How many students in Sweden know that Morocco occupies Western Sahara? Wow, well done. Maybe you've heard this before, but you don't have to feel bad if you don't know all the answers then, because this is how it looks in Sweden. Next question. Oh, okay, here we see the points as well. Well done. After the Great Wall of China, which is the longest wall in the world? Some might say that this is a leading question, but Puffy, doing very well. Next question, and the last question. What is the distance between the Canary Islands and Western Sahara? Well, if you look at on the map when you go home later on, it's really, really close. We want to show the winner, right? A big round of applause to Puffy, whoever that is. Okay, let's start the seminar then. Aidan, I welcome you up here to the stage, and Ahmed, please, and also Andres, that will be translating.
Thank you. Okay, so hi, welcome everyone. My name is Aidan Latifi, and I'm part of FUF, which is Förening för utvecklingsfrågor, a forum for development questions for the developing world. I'm 18 years old, and I'm going to interview Ahmed and about Western Sahara and about his work there. So, to begin with, could you introduce yourself, what you do, who you are?
Bueno, en primer lugar, quiero agradecer a Africa Grupina y Mau Stockholm y FUF y Forum SID por darnos la oportunidad de hablar del Sahara Occidental.
First of all, I want to thank Africa Grupina, FUF, Forum SID, and the other organizations that have been involved in this moment in which I can talk about Western Sahara.
Y a todas vosotras y vosotros por compartir con nosotros el más valioso que tenéis es vuestro tiempo.
And I want also to thank all of you because you are sharing with us what it is more valuable for anybody, which is your time.
Soy Ahmed Ettanji, vengo del Sahara Occidental ocupado, un territorio que está al norte de Marruecos y el sur de Marruecos, el norte de Mauritania, ocupado por Marruecos.
I'm coming from Western Sahara. I'm Ahmed Ettanji, and I'm come from a region that it is North Morocco.
Sur de Marruecos.
South Morocco.
Norte de Mauritania.
And at the north of Mauritania.
Somos un pueblo dividido en dos partes, entre la parte ocupada y campamentos refugiados por un muro muy largo lleno de minas. Su longitud son 2.700 kilómetros.
We are people that it is divided between the occupied territory and the refugee camp. We are divided by a long wall, and in between there are a lot of landmines. And the longitude of the wall is
2.700 kilómetros.
2,700 kilometers, square kilometers.
Yes. Formo parte de una organización que es Equipe Media. Nuestro objetivo es romper el bloqueo informativo en los territorios ocupados.
I work in an organization called
Equipe Media.
Equipe Media, and our work is to break the information wall that we have.
Porque el Sáhara Occidental particularmente es un territorio cerrado ante los periodistas y los observadores, porque Marruecos no quiere testigos ahí.
Because Western Sahara is a place that it is incommunicated. Morocco doesn't want journalists or any witness from what is going on there.
Y nuestro trabajo es hacer informes, documentar las violaciones de los derechos humanos, informar a las organizaciones internacionales y los medios de comunicación internacionales sobre lo que está pasando en el territorio.
And our job is to make reports about the violations to human rights. So we address the media and also organizations that are dedicated to the issue.
Es un trabajo arriesgado. Podemos pagar nuestras vidas por informar al exterior por lo que está pasando.
It is a risky job, and we can even pay with our lives because of informing abroad what it is happening inside.
6 compañeros están en la cárcel, algunos condenados a 20 años y cadenas perpetuas.
6 colleagues are already in jail. Some of them have been sentenced to 20 years of jail, and the others are have sentences of lifelong sentences.
Podéis imaginar que uno de vosotras puede llevar una cámara para grabar una manifestación en Estocolmo y puede ir a la cárcel toda su vida.
So then, can you imagine that somebody grabs a camera and it is filming in Stockholm demonstration, and because of that, that person can end up in jail during his or her whole life.
Y una cámara en Sahara puede valer una vida en la cárcel.
So one camera in Sahara, the cost can be all the life in jail.
Thank you. Very, very interesting. So, as you mentioned before, you could say there are 3 provinces in Western Sahara: the refugee camps, the occupied territory, and the free Western Sahara. How do you think a normal day could look in these 3 different territories, and how would they differ? How do you think a normal day could look in these 3 different territories, and how would they differ?
Sí. La diferencia es mucha.
Well, the difference is quite big.
Nosotros en la parte ocupada vivimos en casas, pero vivimos bajo la represión y las brutalidades y la ocupación, una vida muy difícil.
In the occupied territory, we have houses, but we live under the occupation, and we have to endure very difficult circumstances.
En una cárcel grande vivimos bajo bloqueo militar.
It is a big jail because we live under military blockade.
De la otra parte, en los campamentos refugiados viven de ayudas humanitarias y viven con en unas situaciones difíciles.
In the refugee camps, people live out of international aid, so they live under very harsh conditions.
Hablamos de condiciones de naturaleza, que el calor puede llegar a 50 grados en el desierto donde están los campamentos refugiados.
For instance, people can live under the 50 centigrades sun, and that's the conditions where they live in the refugee camps.
Sí. Pero hay una diferencia muy importante. Ellos pueden decir, queremos un Estado saharaui libre, y no pueden sufrir consecuencias.
But there is a difference. They can make statements like, we want to live in a free Sahara, and they wouldn't have any consequences.
En la parte donde vivo yo, la parte ocupada, si digo Sahara libre o levanto una bandera, puedo ser torturado, maltratado, asesinado o puedo entrar a la cárcel.
Instead, in the occupied territory where I live, if I state openly free Sahara libre, or I raise a flag, then I can end up being tortured, in jail, and under those circumstances.
Very interesting. How would you say the job market is different in the refugee camps and in the occupied territory? Is there a difference? And how does the job market look in general?
¿Qué tipo de
trabajo? O sea, ¿cómo pueden vivir? ¿De qué pueden vivir en términos de trabajo?
Vale. Campamentos refugiados, como he dicho, viven de ayudas humanitarias o de pequeños proyectos que hacen organizaciones internacionales, entre las cuales Forum Seed está financiando algunos proyectos ahí. En campamentos refugiados.
So in the camps, as I said before, people live out of international aid, and also some small projects that organizations like Forum Seed is conducting there. Well, not only Forum Seed, but organizations like Forum Seed are conducting there.
Sí, Maus Stockholm, Maus Bjorka y otras organizaciones. En el Sáhara Occidental ocupado no hay muchas ofertas de trabajo para los saharauis. Vivimos mucha marginación y pobreza.
In the occupied territories, there is not a job market for us, so then we live marginalized and under hard conditions.
Y hablamos de pobreza y hablamos de un territorio muy rico de fosfato, de pesca, de petróleo y gas.
So we live under poverty, but we are talking that territory is quite rich because we have fishery, we have oil,
Petróleo, pues,
Y gas. Y
yeah,
gas.
and also natural gas.
Imaginad conmigo vivir en un supermercado aquí como el COP. Vives dentro del supermercado pero tienes hambre siempre.
So can you imagine living, like for example, here, living inside one of these coops with all the things that are close to you, but not having access and living with hunger?
Y así vivimos nosotros en los territorios ocupados.
So
Muy
that's,
poca gente trabaja.
so that's how we live in the occupied territories. Very few people have the opportunity of having a job.
Sí, estaba hablando hoy con Carolina en el camino que veníamos de Falun. La he preguntado, ¿qué reivindican los jóvenes aquí en Suecia?
So I was talking with Carolina when we were in our way here, and I asked what were the claimants of the youth in Sweden.
Y es que me ha sorprendido, me ha dicho que el gobierno está preocupado por los jóvenes porque están hablando en la prensa del estrés, de la depresión que viven los jóvenes en Suecia. He preguntado yo, ¿no? Que no tengo ningún derecho garantizado en el Sahara, pero no hay ningún país que se preocupa por mí.
So, and I asked that because I get to know that the government was worried because of the stress and certain situations that youth in Sweden is living. But in my case, there is no state that it is worrying at all for us.
Así es la juventud saharaui, no tienen salidas, no tienen derechos garantizados, están perdiendo vidas para tener lo mínimo que tiene la juventud sueca.
So that's the way of living of the youth in Sahara. They have like just the minimum of what people here may have.
Eso lo digo para que lo entiendan los presentes aquí.
I'm raising this for you to understand my point.
¿Cómo es la perspectiva de la juventud en Sahara, en Suecia?
In order to make a difference in terms of what the perspective of the youth here in Sweden in relation to the perspectives for the youth in Sahara.
Para que lo entiendan mejor, la juventud del Sahara vive en las épocas medievales de Suecia.
For you to understand it better, people, the youth in Sahara is living kind of the medieval times here in Europe.
Very interesting. And you talked about your work with Equipe Media, you are the chairman of. And you also talked about the immense risk that you go through to be able to spread information and spread what you're doing. But why is this, why do you keep doing it? Why is it important for you in spite of this risk?
Yo lo he pensado mucho,
I have given a lot of thought about it
porque tenía dos caminos.
because I have two paths.
Un camino es vivir bajo la ocupación y voy a sufrir marginación y voy a ser como un esclavo. Y
One path was to live under the occupation and live like a slave under the occupation.
o voy a marcar, o la otra vía, o voy a marcar un paso en la historia, voy a luchar por el cambio de mi destino y el destino de otras generaciones.
And the other part was like either make a change, make a difference, and create a way to make a difference for my people and my country.
Por eso mis compañeros y yo estamos convencidos de este trabajo. Queremos que el mundo sepa lo que está pasando con los sahrawis, a pesar de las detenciones, a pesar de las torturas.
That's why my colleagues and I, we are determined and we are heavily convinced about what we are doing, because we want to inform what it is going on in Sahara, in despite of the possibility of experiencing torture, detentions and so on.
Me acuerdo unas palabras de mi amigo el Bashir Hadda, que está condenado a 20 años de cárcel y ha hecho estos días 45 días de huelga de hambre.
So I remember the words of my friend that it is convicted 20 years in jail.
45 días de huelga de hambre.
And he's been 45 days in a hunger strike now.
Dejo a su familia para que lo digan a nosotros que el mejor soporte que podemos hacer para él es seguir denunciando y mostrando al mundo las violaciones de los derechos humanos.
He said that the best thing that we could do for him was to continue reporting on the violations, human rights violations that are going on in Sahara.
And as you said, a lot of members from Equipe Media have been imprisoned because of their journalism. And as I've understood it, it is illegal to write about West Sahara's right to independency. How are you able to get out the news in spite of this media blockage? How do you work and what do you do to get these news out?
¿Cómo han sido capaces de lograr romper el bloqueo informativo y lograr sacar por internet las noticias que ustedes producen?
Sí, como he dicho que el trabajo en los territorios ocupados es difícil. Estamos hablando de un territorio cerrado, no hay agencias de prensa.
As I said, we are under very harsh conditions. It is a territory that it is controlled completely, and there is no press agencies in the territory.
Ni tampoco organizaciones que pueden entrar al territorio para trabajar.
There are neither organizations with the possibility of entering into the territory in order to work.
Pues la única vía, la única fuente, la única alternativa de información para las organizaciones internacionales, para Naciones Unidas, para los medios de comunicación, somos nosotros.
So the only way for the international organizations, the United Nations, and other organizations alike to have information about Sahara is us.
Hemos arriesgado nuestras vidas para sacar esta información y ha sido válida para muchas organizaciones que comprobaron la credibilidad. Y hoy en día somos fuente para Human Rights Watch, la Amnistía Internacional, Reporteros Sin Fronteras y hasta el propio Naciones Unidas.
So we have taken the risk, we have risked our lives, and it is worthy because now we have credibility at different instances, like for example, Human Rights Watch, United Nations, and organizations alike.
También les decían cómo rompieron el cerco.
Sí, hemos roto este bloqueo informativo a través de las redes sociales, a través del Facebook, Twitter, YouTube y páginas web. Todo lo que hacemos, y lo hacemos de una forma clandestina.
So we have managed to break the informative blockade using social media, but it is worthy to notice that we are doing all this work in a clandestine way.
Y lo publicamos en las redes sociales y las censuras llegan hasta esas redes sociales. A veces nos cortan conexión. E incluso, me acuerdo en 2012, hubo una campaña muy fuerte que hizo el gobierno marroquí contra nosotros. El Facebook cerró la página.
So we have even been out of the social media, Facebook in 2012, because of a blockade from Morocco cut our Facebook page.
Hoy en día, gracias a la organización Witness y otras organizaciones que velan por los derechos del periodismo ciudadano, el Facebook no puede cerrarnos la página porque ellos nos defienden.
But today, an organization called Witness, with the support, Facebook is not able to blockade our page again because they are backing us, and then we can continue.
How do you feel like this blockade and that you said that Morocco has shut your Facebook down and all these sort of limitations they're doing, does it motivate you more to work harder, or how does it affect your work?
Si nosotros no lo hacemos bien, yo creo que Marruecos va a pasar de nosotros y no va a hacer nada para parar este tipo de trabajo.
Si ustedes no lo hacen bien.
Y si no lo hacemos bien, Marruecos no va a hacer este tipo de censuras para parar nuestro trabajo.
Okay. So if we don't do our job the best we can, so Morocco wouldn't care and Morocco wouldn't be interfering in our job.
Sí. Y hemos abierto una pequeña ventana para que el mundo vea lo que está pasando en Sahara, y Marruecos lo está intentando cerrar, y cuando intenta cerrar una ventana nosotros abrimos dos.
So we have opened a window for the world to see what it is going on inside Sahara, and when the Morocco government closed that window, we opened two more.
Pero esto no lo podemos hacer solos, gracias al apoyo que tenemos desde las organizaciones desde fuera.
But we cannot do this for ourselves. This is thanks to the support of the organizations abroad that are backing us up.
Porque sin esas organizaciones, el apoyo de las sociedades civiles en fuera, nosotros no tenemos voz.
Because without the support of those organizations and the civil society abroad, we wouldn't be able to do that.
How do you think the work of Equipe Media has altered from the start of the organization till today? Do you feel like you can work more freely? You could work more freely before when you weren't as known globally or as established than now, or is there even a difference?
¿Cómo ha sido el cambio de este tiempo que ustedes empezaron a trabajar hasta ahora en términos del equipo como tal, del trabajo que
Sí. Nosotros el primer día hemos empezado como amateurs.
The very first day we started like amateurs.
Hemos empezado sin ningún conocimiento del periodismo, hemos empezado por necesidad.
We started with zero knowledge about journalism. We started this because, well, it was out of necessity.
Porque en el Sáhara Occidental no hay academias, no hay universidades.
Because in Western Sahara there is no academia, there are no universities.
Pero por las ganas de romper este bloqueo informativo, hemos empezado a aprender solos.
But because we wanted to put down this informative blockade, we started working by our own and learning by our own.
Pero esto no es suficiente. Gracias a muchas organizaciones en el exterior nos invitaron, nos hicieron formaciones, nos ayudaron para aprender idiomas, porque si no fuera por una organización en España, yo no hablaría hoy español.
But thanks to organizations abroad, we got training, not only technical training, but also language learning. It is because I was supported by a Spanish organization that I'm speaking Spanish right now.
Por eso, nuestras capacidades, gracias a muchas organizaciones. Y aprovecho el momento para decir que hemos hecho un documental, 3 cámaras robadas, que ha llegado a muchísimos festivales en el mundo, más de 80 festivales internacionales del mundo.
So different communities have made it possible for us to continue, and now we got to a point that we have made a short film that it is being screened in the
Más de 80 festivales
more than 80 festivals around the world.
Internacionales, sí. Este documental ha ganado muchos premios y ha sido proyectado también en televisiones internacionales. Gracias a la acogida, el apoyo de Emmaus, de la productora Rafilm en Malmö, el Instituto Sueco, que financiaron este documental para que podamos viajar a muchos países para hablar en festivales internacionales. Incluso este festival ha provocado una crisis diplomática entre Irak y Marruecos.
So with the documental, that it is product of the backup of different organizations like Emmaus and sorry, I can't keep tracking of all the names that you name. But with this short film, we have been able of having different meetings and in different parts of the world, and then we can talk and raise the voice about what it is going in Sahara, to the point that now there is even an international issue between Irak
y Marruecos.
And Morocco.
Hace poco, porque hemos presentado el documental en Suleimania, en Festival Internacional de Cine, y hemos ganado el mejor cortometraje mundial y el ministro de Exteriores marroquí tuvo que convocar al embajador iraquí en Marruecos para decirle por qué habéis proyectado esta película.
And the issue was because we won an international festival
In Irak,
Sí, sí,
in Iraq. We won the first prize, so the government of Morocco and the embassy started to claim and ask for answers from the Iraq government why Equipe Media and the short film was prized with the first place.
Porque Marruecos no quiere que se vean las violaciones de los derechos humanos que comete en Marruecos.
Because Morocco doesn't want the world to know about the human violations that take place in the occupied territory.
¿Cómo se llama el documental?
3 cámaras robadas, 3 en cámara.
And the name of the short film is the 3 Stolen Cameras.
Sí, el documental habla de historia de Equipe Media, como documenta las violaciones de los derechos humanos y muestra también la represión marroquí.
The short film shows how Equipe Media do their job in terms of reporting human rights violations and also the repression because of doing that.
Sí, 3 cámaras robadas es una historia de cámaras fueron robadas por la policía, confiscadas.
3 Stolen Cameras is the story of the 3 cameras that got the team and were stolen by the Moroccan police.
Sí, esas cámaras las utilizamos para mostrar la violencia y para denunciar la violencia y para pedir justicia.
So we used those cameras in order to show the violence, in order to denounce the violence and to show to the world what's going on.
Y Marruecos utilizó esas 3 cámaras para criminalizar la lucha pacífica saharaui.
And Morocco used those 3 cameras in order to stigmatize the Sahrawi struggle.
But you do all this work with a big risk of being arrested because of you know, a faulty legal system that you know, arrests people for having a freedom of speech. But can you talk about a bit more about that? Like, who are the people who are being arrested? On what grounds are they being arrested? For what crime? Who can it be? Does it matter their gender, age?
Sí, los 6 periodistas detenidos, que quiero decir que hay 50 presos políticos en las cárceles.
Well, we have 6 members of the team that have been in prison, as I said, and also, as I mentioned before, there are 50 political prisoners now in jail.
Los 6 periodistas fueron detenidos. Hablamos de jóvenes entre 19 y 20 años hasta 40.
So we are talking regarding the 6 journalists detained. We are talking about people from 19-year-old to 40 years old.
Una cadena perpetua, 3 cadenas de 20 años y una cadena de 6 años y otra de 4 años.
One
Life of prison.
sentence.
20,
The 3 sentences of 20 years each.
de 1 a 6 y otro a 4.
One is in prison for 6 years and the other one was sentenced to 4 years.
Todos están acusados de manifestar sin permiso.
They are all accused on the ground of holding demonstrations without the permission.
De rebeldía a la autoridad.
They are also accused of rebellion to the authority.
De crear una organización criminal.
And the creation of a criminal organization.
Son las mismas acusaciones y diferencias de sentencias.
So they all have the same accusations, but they all have different sentences.
Supongamos que esas acusaciones son verdades. ¿Por qué acusan uno a 4 años y otro a 20 y otro a cadena perpetua?
Let's say that the accusations are right. So on what ground one person is sentenced to 4 years, other to 20, and other to all his life in prison.
O hay 5 tipos de leyes que tiene Marruecos. No sabemos.
Or maybe is that Morocco have 5 different types of law. We don't know.
Es muy contradictorio, ¿no?
This is very contradictory.
Son las mismas acusaciones que acusan a un activista que manifiesta en la calle, o un periodista, o una persona que levanta una bandera de República Sahrawi. Son las mismas acusaciones.
So the accusations are the same for an activist, or for a journalist, or for a person that raise a flag or say Sahrawi free.
Sí. Y República Sahrawi, sí. En los últimos años se ha notado el aumento de las detenciones contra los periodistas.
But in the last time, we have seen a raising in the detention of journalists.
Se puede preguntar por qué.
We can wonder why.
Porque en los últimos años el trabajo de los periodistas llegó muy lejos.
And it is because the work of the journalists have reached wider audiences.
Es una materia prima para muchísimas organizaciones internacionales.
And it is now a first resource of information for several international organizations.
Por eso Marruecos quiere parar esta fuente.
That's why Morocco wants to stop this source of information from continuing working.
Pero como decimos, ellos comparten la represión y nosotros compartimos el apoyo y el seguimiento.
But as we said, they share the repression, and we share camaraderie and the will of going on.
Okay, very interesting. And I can imagine this contradictory legal system is something that motivates you to work more to work against these laws and for an independent West Sahara. But for some background for the audience, Sweden was going to recognize West Sahara as an independent state in 2012, but then didn't. So I'm wondering, how did the West Sahrawis react when you thought you were going to get recognized by Sweden? Because I can imagine it's a big, revelation. And then what do they think now when they still haven't recognized it? And how is the situation today?
Suecia, el concepto que tenemos nosotros de Suecia, el país donde hay democracia y donde hay libertades.
So, first, the concept that we have about Sweden is that it is a country where the people have freedom and there are civil liberties, and where you can experience democracy.
Cuando el Parlamento sueco ha pedido reconocimiento de la RAST, nosotros como saharauis hemos tenido mucha ilusión, mucha alegría.
When Sweden was about to recognize Western Sahara, we were completely happy. We had a lot of hope.
Un país que va a hacer una victoria para la justicia, para el derecho internacional.
It is like a country that will make a point in terms of the international justice that we wanted.
International law.
And in terms of the international law.
Pero por desgracia que Suecia hizo lo contrario.
But unfortunately, it's a pity that Sweden do the opposite.
Suecia ha puesto los intereses económicos arriba y los derechos humanos y el derecho internacional abajo.
So Sweden put in the first place the business, and in a second place in the ground the human rights.
Ha preferido abrir IKEA y seguir vendiendo Volvo, Scania en Marruecos, y a la otra parte ha ignorado, ha mirado hacia otra parte el sufrimiento de un pueblo y el cumplimiento también de la legalidad.
So Sweden has preferred to open IKEA in Morocco and to continue selling Volvo and Scania over there. And regarding Western Sahara, they just start turning the eye to the other side.
¿estará la sociedad civil de acuerdo con un Estado que no ha cumplido con los principios de la sociedad civil?
So it is like the civil society got a problem with the government because there are differences between the two wills.
Porque un gobierno que hace contradicciones políticas, porque la señora Wallström, siempre en Naciones Unidas hace pocos días, y cada declaración sobre Sáhara dice que Suecia está a favor de las resoluciones de Naciones Unidas, está a favor de la autodeterminación, que es un derecho del pueblo saharaui.
And and there is a contradiction despite the words of Margot Wallström that openly says that Sweden is respectful of the United Nations resolutions about the self-determinations of the nations.
¿Y por qué el gobierno hace lo contrario?
But why the government is doing the opposite?
Palestina y Sáhara, casos similares.
So Palestine and Sahara are very alike cases.
Según el derecho internacional, porque las dos causas están en la Comisión Cuarta de Descolonización.
Because according to the international law, especially the Fourth Commission,
De descolonización, la cuarta comisión de descolonización
according to the Fourth Commission of Decolonization,
de Naciones Unidas.
from the resolution of the United Nations.
Y los dos territorios están ocupados por fuerza y por un Estado exterior.
And the two territories are occupied by force by a foreign state.
Y los dos pueblos están sufriendo diariamente.
And both in both places people is suffering harsh conditions.
¿Por qué el Estado sueco no sea justo, reconozca la RAST y Palestina?
Why then Sweden is not fair and it is not recognizing Palestine and Western Sahara?
And I've learned that we can see among youth right now that there is a rising will to arm themselves and go to violence, something that could be understandable considering the circumstances and the immense frustration that must prevail among youth stuck in either a refugee camp or in occupied territory. However, this is not a progression that I can imagine Sahrawis, and especially elder Sahrawis that have been through war and have been through conflict, want to see happening.
Pero eso no es algo que al parecer las personas que han experimentado ya de hecho la guerra, las personas viejas del Sahara y que lo han experimentado quieren para su pueblo.
How do you think this can be dealt with? And
¿Cómo se puede trabajar?
do you see a difference in youth culture in the refugee camp and in the occupied territory?
La paz. La paz es una preocupación internacional.
Well, peace. Peace is an international issue that worry all the people.
Los jóvenes sahrawis, sea en territorios ocupados o campamentos refugiados, la mayoría hace poco tiempo creían en la paz.
Youth either in the occupied territories or in the refugee camps used to think that the road, that the path was peace.
Pero perdieron confianza
But they have been losing confidence in that path.
en actitudes como eso, Suecia.
After what Sweden, for instance, have done with Sweden's attitude.
Si hay unos jóvenes saharauis se preguntan, yo tengo derecho, está a mi lado el derecho internacional, pero ¿por qué estos países prefieren los intereses económicos?
So the youth is asking in Western Sahara, if we have the international law in our side, why these countries are doing the opposite?
Por eso, los jóvenes quieren hacer algo que llame la atención a la comunidad internacional.
So that's why youth in general are thinking that they can do actions that will call the international community attention.
es una responsabilidad de todos los estados y de las Naciones Unidas. Tienen que hacer algo para que no haya guerra.
It is a responsibility of all the states and the United Nations in preventing the war.
Nosotros no queremos guerra, no queremos sangre, no queremos violencia, no queremos caos.
We don't want war, we don't want blood, we don't want violence or chaos.
Nosotros queremos aplicar la justicia, queremos aplicar el derecho internacional.
We want to exert the international law.
Soy un activista que apuesta por la lucha no violenta.
I'm an activist that is betting on the non-violent struggle.
Pero siempre hago esa alerta de que hay una preocupación de que la juventud quiere volver a la guerra si la comunidad internacional no hace nada.
But I will always highlight that our youth is thinking in going to war if the international community sit down and do nothing.
Estamos hablando de más de 120 resoluciones de Naciones Unidas que asegura y pide el derecho a la autodeterminación del pueblo saharaui.
We are talking about more than 120 United Nations resolutions that explicitly advocate for a free Sahrawi.
Pero ¿quién aplica esto?
But who's going to apply this?
Esa es la preocupación.
That's our worry.
But do you see a difference between youth cultures in the refugee camps, which is a very static state to be in, with no like intellectual stimulation, and in the occupied area, who feel like they're imprisoned and live their lives in barricades, you know?
La situación de los jóvenes que están como inmovilizados, sobre todo en los territorios ocupados, en diferencia con las personas que están en los campos de refugiados, porque pues claro, ninguno de los dos tiene igual ciertas libertades.
Is one group more willing to go to violence than the other, or are both as determined?
¿O los dos están en la misma línea?
En las dos partes hay algunos jóvenes frustrados, sea en territorios ocupados o campamentos refugiados.
In both places, in occupied territories or in the refugee camps, there are groups of people, of youth people that are especially frustrated.
Pero tenemos una ventaja, que ningún saharaui puede hacer algo individualmente, porque somos un pueblo organizado.
But we have an advantage. No Sahrawi can do lone wolf activities because we are a very synchronized and organized people.
Estamos dentro del movimiento que representa al pueblo saharaui, que es el Frente Polisario.
We are all involved in the Frente Polisario, which is the one that conducts the actions of the Sahrawi people.
Que desde este movimiento se decide si vamos a la guerra o seguimos la lucha pacífica.
And is this group the one that decides whether we go to war or we continue struggling in another way?
So with all these risks and conflict taken into consideration, what motivates you to keep going and to keep writing, to keep putting yourselves in this risk in order to reach some sort of result?
Sí, me motiva que estamos cambiando muchas cosas.
I'm motivated because we are changing so many things.
Estamos haciendo mucha advocacy, estamos abriendo muchas puertas.
We have been opening several doors and we are doing lots of advocacy.
Estamos consiguiendo presión a Marruecos a través de pruebas verdaderas.
We have managed to exert pressure on Morocco based on facts and proofs.
Sí, pero con el apoyo de las organizaciones.
But of course, this is the also product of the support of the organizations.
Sí, porque en nuestra vuelta, sea mi compañera Neza o yo, podemos entrar a la cárcel. ¿Acordará uno de vosotros de que han estado 2 jóvenes saharauis aquí y llevan toda la vida, van a llevar la vida en la cárcel?
¿Puedes repetir otra vez que me acuerdo?
Eso, mi compañera Elsa y yo vamos a volver pronto al Sahara y podemos entrar a la cárcel. Me pregunta, ¿se acordarán de nosotros?
So my partner and I, we are coming back to Sahara, and we can end up in prison. Then my question is, will you remind us?
¿Harán algo por este pueblo? ¿Harán algo por los presos? ¿Harán algo por esas 2 personas que conocieron en persona y pueden ir a la cárcel mariana?
Will you do something for the people that you meet today? Will you do something for the prisoners? Will you do something if something like that happens?
¿Hay un compromiso humano entre nosotros?
Is there any kind of human compromise between us now?
Iré al Sahara aunque entraré a la cárcel. Sentiré que no voy a estar solo, que haya alguien que me defienda y defienda a mi pueblo.
Do you think that if we go to jail, there will be somebody that will defend us and that will raise the voice about what is going with my people?
Recordarán de que hay jóvenes en Sahara Occidental tienen 0 derechos de lo que tienen aquí.
Will you remember that in Sahara there are youth that have 0 rights and that it is completely different from the situation here?
Por eso queremos que hayan unos que nos defienden aquí y no sentemos que estamos solos.
So I think that here there will be people that will eventually defend us, and then we feel that we are not alone.
Con placer. Y con placer.
And
Para nosotros.
And this is, and we are very glad about that.
Okay. So, what future do you think the youth culture and young people in West Sahara visualize and aspire for themselves? And what future do you see?
¿Qué los inspira a ellos? ¿Qué inspira a los jóvenes? ¿Cómo los visualizas? ¿Qué los inspira? ¿Y qué es lo que qué crees de eso?
Sí. Nuestras inspiraciones, que haya justicia, que seamos un Estado democrático, feminista, donde sí garantiza los derechos. Sí.
So what inspires us? We are inspired with the idea of having a democratic and feminist country that will protect the rights of the people.
Donde se garantizan los derechos para otras generaciones, esos derechos que no hemos aprovechado o nosotros.
A place where we will be build a system where people will experience having the rights that have been denied to us.
Nos inspiran otras historias.
We have been also inspired by other stories.
Pueblos que han sido ocupados y hoy en día están libres.
The stories of other peoples that have been also occupied and that they are now free.
Nos inspira que el ser humano puede cambiar mucho.
We are inspired in the fact that a human being can change and can
Cuando
change
quiere.
a lot
Cuando
when that
quiere.
human being want to change.
Okay, very interesting. So you keep a bright mindset and a hope for the future, which I think is important. And I think all of us agree that in a situation like this, you have to sort of keep a bright and hopeful mind. So what do you believe now is the next step in the fight? What's the next step for us that you can, you know, say that we can do, or for the West Saharis?
La esperanza es una gasolina, podemos decir, muy importante para todos los seres humanos.
Hope, I can say that it is like a very important gasoline for all, or petrol for all human beings.
Yo pido a la sociedad civil sueca, en la cual tengo esperanza también,
I ask the civil society in Sweden, in which I also deposit my hope.
pido que ellos presionen al gobierno para que reconozca la RAST la República Sahrawi. Quiero que hagan campañas de sensibilización dentro de las organizaciones y los medios de comunicación sobre nuestra situación.
I would like the civil society then to exert pressure on the government in order to, for Sweden to recognize the Sahrawi Republic. And I also ask the civil society in Sweden to exert pressure in media and in other civil society organizations in order to advocate for us.
Les pido que colaboren e inicien campañas como hacen África Grupperna y más en Suecia.
I then ask Sweden to start campaigns like Emmaus and
Emmaus Stockholm.
And Emmaus in Stockholm are doing now. And Africa Grupperna are doing now.
Sí. Queremos que sientan nuestros dolores por lo menos un poco.
I will like you to feel a little bit what it's our pain.
Para que nos defiendan.
So then you can defend us.
Sí. Tenemos caso de que hay una compañera aquí que es Giovanni, que la he conocido en un viaje aquí, y la verdad que desde entonces nos ayuda mucho en traducciones, en campañas de sensibilización, y eso se agradece mucho.
For example, there is the case of a colleague that it's here, and since I met her, she has been supporting us widely with the interpretations and with the different issues. So that's very important for us.
Y ojalá que sean los jóvenes aquí las voces de unos jóvenes que no tienen voces en Sahara.
So I wish that the voices of the young people here will become the voices of the youth that do not have a voice there in Sahara.
Okay. Thank you very much, and thank you for coming. A big round of applause for Ahmed Ettanji. Very interesting talk. I think we can open up for questions from the audience, and you need a microphone so we can hear you for the recording in the video. So Etka, our friend, will be passing around if anyone has any questions to ask Ahmed.
How is your relationship with the Moroccan people? I mean, the conflict is with the Moroccan government, but how is the Moroccan people reacting to your struggle and to the fight against the government?
Muy buena pregunta.
Very good question, thanks.
Sahrawis, como pueblo, no tenemos ningún problema con el pueblo marroquí, que es un pueblo vecino.
The Sahrawis as a community, we don't have any problem with the people from Morocco.
Nosotros tenemos problema con un gobierno, una monarquía que ha ocupado Sahara Occidental y que oprime los saharauis y los marroquíes.
We have a problem with the government, with the monarchy that has occupied Western Sahara.
Oprime los saharauis y los marroquíes.
And it is oppressing not only the Sahrawis but also the Moroccans.
Muchos marroquíes no saben de la situación porque hay una propaganda, hay una manipulación en los medios de comunicación.
Many Moroccans, they do not know about the situation in Western Sahara because of the information blockade, so they don't know about the situation inside Sahara.
Pero hay activistas como la Asociación Marroquí de los Derechos Humanos, la Vía Democracia, han mostrado su apoyo al pueblo saharaui.
But there are activists like, for example, the
La Asociación Marroquí de Derechos Humanos,
the Marroquí Association for Human Rights, that it is airing and advocating for the situation of human rights inside the Western Sahara.
los activistas de la Vía Democracia.
And also the activists of the democratic way.
Estos pagaron entradas a las cárceles por decir públicamente su apoyo al derecho internacional y contra la injusticia en Sahara.
They even paid with jail sentences because they openly state about the fulfillment of the international law regarding the situation in Sahara.
Sí. Incluso hay políticos marroquíes, como uno es muy cercano al gobierno, al rey Marruecos, se llama el Himma, dijo una vez en unas declaraciones que Marruecos no tiene ninguna soberanía en Sahara.
In fact, there is a person called El Hime that it is very close to the king that once publicly state that Morocco doesn't have anything to do in Sahara.
En Marruecos hay tres tabús. Tres tabús, sí. Uno es la religión, segundo es el rey, el tercero es el Sahara.
Religión.
El rey. El rey, la monarquía,
okay.
Y el Sahara.
There are three taboos for Moroccans. One is religion, the other is the king, and the other is Sahara.
Sí. Hablar de esto puede ser a la cárcel.
If you talk openly about any of these issues, you can end up in jail.
Does anyone else have a question? Or?
Thank you for sharing.
Gracias por compartir.
Thank you for sharing about your struggle. I'm just wondering if you could also share a little bit about the type of pressures that are actually the international community is putting on the Moroccan government now.
Si nos puede decir algunas de las formas de presión que la comunidad internacional puede ejercer sobre el gobierno de Marruecos.
Sí, muchas. Por ejemplo, las organizaciones internacionales piden a Marruecos que quita las restricciones a los activistas y los periodistas sahrawis.
Well, there are many. For instance, people can exert pressure to Morocco, or organizations can exert pressure to Morocco in terms of letting the activists have the right of freedom of speech.
Sí. Y otra es, por ejemplo, hay una misión en Sáhara Occidental de Naciones Unidas, se llama la MINURSO, la misión para organizar el referéndum en Sáhara. Sí, esta misión se renueva cada año en el Consejo de Seguridad. Pues Estados Unidos este año ha presionado mucho para que haya un mandato de 6 meses en negociaciones entre Marruecos y el Polisario para que haya una solución rápida.
There is a esta es una
misión de Naciones Unidas.
There is a mission of the United Nations, the MINURSO, and it is organized every year. And now it is organized for 6 months in a coalition with the United States that it is asking for the Polisario's front and Morocco to get into a quick solution of the problem.
Sí, la MINURSO es una misión que está en el Sáhara Occidental para organizar un referéndum que Marruecos siempre ha obstaculizado.
And the MINURSO, one of the objectives is in Sahara Occidental, and it is placed there, is to make possible the referendum that has been long delayed by Morocco.
Sí, esto que hicieron ahora en el Consejo de Seguridad, presionar a Marruecos para entrar en negociaciones con el Polisario, es una forma de presión nueva.
So this, what happens now in the United Nations, the pressure over the Moroccan government to negotiate with the Polisario's front in order to come with a solution, it is a kind of pressure that it is new.
Las sentencias del Tribunal de la Justicia Europeo que dictaminó que los acuerdos que hace la Unión Europea con Marruecos no tienen que incluir Sáhara Occidental, porque Sáhara Occidental es un territorio ocupado.
There are also these negotiations between the European Union and the tribunals at the European Union level that establish that their agreements are only limited to the Moroccan territory because Sahara, it is not part of Morocco.
Sí, es una sentencia del Tribunal Europeo.
And this is a sentence for the European Tribunal about the situation.
Por eso hoy en día la Unión Europea tiene un problema, no puede hacer ningún acuerdo económico en el Sáhara Occidental, porque si lo hace la Unión Europea con Marruecos está violando el derecho internacional.
That's why now the European Union got a problem about making business with Morocco, because the business cannot be done because Morocco is occupying Sahara Occidental, and the tribunal make explicit that it shouldn't be a part.
I have a question. How important are these international help organizations like the UN or international strengths like the EU or the UN for Western Sahara, or the fact that states recognize Western Sahara as an independent state? How dependent is West Sahara on their help in order to reach independence? Like how dependent are you, or is Western Sahara on them?
¿Qué tan dependiente es a los saharauis
Like
para obtener su
help.
independencia y de la ayuda de estas organizaciones internacionales?
¿Cómo pueden tener ayuda?
¿Qué tan dependientes son de la ayuda internacional?
Sí, sí.
¿Qué tanto dependen?
Sí, los saharauis dependen de muchas ayudas. Una es el apoyo político.
So the Sahrawis depend at very different levels. One is at the political level.
Por ejemplo, damos el ejemplo de Suecia.
For instance, I have raised the example of Sweden.
Las organizaciones que hay en Suecia que son sociedad civil pueden presionar al Parlamento y al gobierno para que reconozca el arresto.
The the organizations in Sweden, for instance, can exert pressure on the Moroccan government for the Moroccan government to recognize the Sahrawi Republic.
Y otra, las organizaciones hacen proyectos y financian proyectos de saharauis.
At another level, these same organizations are backing up projects that are being conducted by Sahrawis.
Porque los saharauis que están en campamentos refugiados dependen de las ayudas humanitarias.
Because the Sahrawis that are living in the refugee camps, they depend on the international aid.
Porque si no hay ayuda humanitaria de organizaciones, morirán de hambre.
Because if there is no support from international aid, they will basically die by hunger.
Sí. Y las organizaciones pueden hacer también campañas de sensibilización, pueden llevar los casos de violaciones de los derechos humanos al Consejo de los Derechos Humanos en Ginebra, Naciones Unidas.
So the civil society organizations abroad, they have the chance to take the cases into the United Nations or at different instances that will eventually help us.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much for this presentation. I just wondered, the refugee camps that are in the neighboring countries, how are they getting, the governments like in Algeria and Mauritania and so on in the neighboring countries, how are they treating the Saharians and the refugee camps there? How is their treatment from their governments?
Países cercanos como Mauritania y Algeria a la gente que está en los campos de refugiados.
Sí. Argelia ha sido de los países más hospitalarios con los saharauis porque dieron sus tierras donde están refugiados los saharauis.
Argelia is one of the most hospitarian countries because it is in their lands where we have the refugee camps and they gave the land.
Y dan mucha ayuda humanitaria a los saharauis.
They also provide with humanitarian aid the Sahrawi people.
Saharauis pueden estudiar en Argelia.
Sahrawis can study in Argelia.
Y Mauritania también recibe bien los saharauis.
And Mauritania also welcomed the Sahrawis.
Porque Mauritania es uno de los países de la zona que tiene una cultura, idioma muy similar al idioma de los saharauis.
Because Mauritania is in the area, the country that it is the closest in terms of language and culture to the Sahrawi people.
Nos une con Argelia los principios de apoyo para la liberación. Nos une con Argelia los principios para la liberación.
With Argelia, we are also united in terms of the principles for being free.
Y nos une con Mauritania los lazos culturales.
And we are with Mauritania, we are linked through culture.
Hello. I have a couple of questions. Can I make it in Spanish, please? Translate it.
Sí, por supuesto.
Sí. Primero, ¿cuál es la opinión que tienes sobre los distintos gobiernos españoles que han pasado a lo largo de estos 43 años desde la invasión marroquí, digamos descolonización española e invasión marroquí? Le hago esta pregunta porque hay un bloqueo informativo en España al respecto del Sáhara, no se habla nada y hemos sido gran parte de vuestra historia durante mucho tiempo. La segunda pregunta es, ¿cuál es la actividad actual que tiene el Frente Polisario?
¿Actividad cómo?
O sea, ¿qué tipo de desarrollo, qué actividad, qué lucha, qué ayuda, en qué provee al resto del pueblo saharaui, etcétera?
Sí, sí.
So the first question is what's Ahmed's opinion regarding the Spanish government during these 43 years of occupation, and the second one is what's the activity now of the Polisario's front regarding the Sahrawi people's struggle.
Sí, para ponerlos en el marco histórico, el Sáhara Occidental ha sido una colonia española.
So to make a broad context in order to answer the question, I have to say that Sahara Occident, that Western Sahara was at one point a Spanish colony.
España abandonó el Sáhara de una forma vergonzosa e ilegal, no hizo la descolonización.
Spain left Western Sahara in a kind of illegal way because there was not the colonization process when they leave.
Y firmó acuerdos nulos con Mauritania y Marruecos para repartir el Sáhara.
And Spain signed non-valid agreements with Mauritania and Morocco, dividing Western Sahara.
Sí. Un acuerdo para trasladarles la administración, no la soberanía.
And it was an agreement in order to trespass the administration of the territories, but not the sovereignty.
Hoy en día, la administrative power en el Sáhara es de España, porque todavía, según el derecho internacional, no ha descolonizado el territorio.
Today, a big part of the responsibility of what's going on in Sahara is from Spain, because officially they have not abandoned the territory.
Sí, la administración power es de España según el derecho internacional.
So, according to the international law, the management of the territory should be on the shoulders of Spain.
Pero España, siempre los gobiernos de España, cuando están en las campañas de elecciones, siempre todos, sea el PP o el PSOE, dicen, los españoles como políticos tenemos que descolonizar el Sáhara, tenemos que cumplir con nuestras responsabilidades, pero cuando llegan al poder, al gobierno, se velan por los intereses económicos.
So in all the elections, all the parties, the PP and the PSOE, during the elections times, they claim that they have to decolonize the Sahara and work on that direction. But once those governments got elected, then the economical factors are first.
España no ha hecho nada.
Spain has done nothing.
Polisario está trabajando ahora en las vías diplomáticas y las vías jurídicas. Está llevando los casos a al Tribunal de la Unión Europea, a la ONU, y van a negociar en diciembre en Ginebra con Marruecos bajo las paraguas de Naciones Unidas.
On the Polisario front, now it is working in the diplomatic and the judicial arena. They are taking the cases to the UN and also to the European Union, and now soon they will have to be in Geneva with the Moroccan government dealing with the issue.
Y el apoyo en España, sea por parte de la sociedad civil, sea por parte de muchas y muchos parlamentarios, es un apoyo muy potente y fuerte.
But then the Spanish support that it is coming from the civil society and from some representatives to the parliament, it's quite strong, in fact.
Sí. Okay.
Okay. If anyone has a last question, we can take that.
Yeah, so my question is, like, a couple of years ago, as many know, the Arab Spring was taking place in Middle East or North Africa. Do you feel like it has given, like, any type of effect on West Africa, like, or West Sahara? Do you think, like, did it help, or did it maybe take away attention from West Sahara? What do you think was the effect, if there was any?
Can you repeat the first part of the question? I couldn't listen.
Yeah, I just said, like, as many people know, like, the Arab Spring was taking place many years ago, so, like, in Middle East and North Africa. And, like, how does he think it has affected West Sahara, if he thinks it has affected?
Thank you. ¿Cómo ve los efectos de la primavera árabe en la situación con
Buena pregunta. La primavera árabe, que hay una información que mucha gente no lo sabe. Hay un campamento, se llama campamento de Gdemizik, ha sido el detonante de la primavera árabe antes de Túnez.
¿Cómo se llama el campamento?
Gdemizik. Sí.
Okay. So there is regarding the Arab Spring something that many people not know, some information, and it started not in Tunis, but it started in a camp called Gdemizik.
Mucha gente lo ha dicho en la prensa española, se vio como miles de jaimas, de tiendas fueron quemadas, miles de personas fueron detenidas por este campamento. Incluso Noam Chomsky muchas veces, el pensador, muchas veces dijo a la prensa que la primavera árabe no ha empezado en Túnez, ha empezado en Sahara, pero según los intereses económicos de muchos medios de comunicación, dicen que ha empezado en Túnez.
¿Cuál es el pensador?
Noam Chomsky.
So, well, this, what I said about the camp Gdemizik, was something that the Spanish television broadcasted widely. Many thousands tents that were burned, thousands detainees, and even Noam Chomsky stated that the Arab Spring didn't start in Tunis, but in the refugee camps. But there are we always have the pressure of economical factors that try to shift attention.
Sí, pero la primavera árabe sí que afecta a la situación en Sahara Occidental.
And yes, the Arab Spring definitely affects the situation in Western Sahara.
Porque si hay una justicia social en Marruecos, en Argelia, en Túnez, en los países árabes, esto va a ser un factor para cumplir con la legalidad internacional en Sahara Occidental para que haya justicia social. Pero por desgracia, las primaveras árabes hoy en día se convirtieron en un caos. La gente estaba buscando a la justicia, a la democracia, y ahora hay guerras. Que estamos viendo lo que está pasando en Libia, en Siria, que nos duele muchísimo.
If there is social justice in countries like Argelia, Morocco, Tunis, then that will be definitely become a factor for the social justice in Western Sahara. But the problem is that the Arab Springs have been led into more chaos than other thing. People were looking for justice, but now we have seen the outcomes in Algeria, in Libya, Syria, and we are worried because of that.
Okay. Thank you very much, and thank you for your audience questions. I think you want to come back and have a last presentation? Yeah?
Thank you.
Okay, gracias, muchas gracias. Thank you, everyone. Should we say? Yes. Oh, yes. And thank you to you too. Muchas gracias.